True religion, at its core, is not merely a set of rituals or doctrines passed down through generations. It is a deeply personal and transformative connection that binds human beings to a higher intelligence, a force that transcends our limited understanding of the world. When religion is approached with sincerity, humility, and openness, it becomes a living, breathing experience that opens the human heart and mind to truths that go beyond logic, science, and material understanding. This higher intelligence, often referred to as God, the divine, the universe, or consciousness, is not confined to one name or form. It is a unifying presence that speaks to the part of us that seeks meaning, purpose, and belonging beyond the physical realm. True religion is less about blind belief and more about conscious relationship. It encourages us to look inward as much as outward. It teaches that within each of us lies a spark of the divine, a reflection of that higher intelligence we seek to understand and align with. This connection is not something that can be forced or manufactured. It is discovered through quiet reflection, sincere prayer, meditation, acts of compassion, and a life oriented toward truth and integrity. Religion, in its most authentic expression, becomes a bridge that helps us navigate the complex terrain of human life while remaining rooted in spiritual awareness. It is this bridge that allows us to access wisdom far beyond our intellectual capabilities, guidance that seems to emerge from somewhere, both deep within us and far beyond us. When we connect to a higher intelligence through true religion, we begin to see life differently. Patterns and purposes once hidden begin to emerge. We feel supported by something larger than ourselves. We become aware of synchronicities, intuitive insights, and a sense of divine timing that defies randomness. Rather than seeing ourselves as isolated individuals scrambling for survival, we begin to understand that we are part of an intricate web of life, connected not only to other people but to nature, to time, and to the unseen spiritual dimensions. This awareness fosters reverence, gratitude, and humility. It teaches us that every act, no matter how small, is significant when done with intention and awareness of the greater whole. Many people today struggle with the idea of God or a higher intelligence because religion has too often been misused as a tool of control, dogma, and fear. But true religion is not about control, it is about liberation. It frees the soul from the shackles of ego, materialism, and superficiality. It does not dictate what to think, but invites us to think deeply and feel profoundly. It does not force us to conform to rigid rules, but rather invites us into a dynamic relationship with a living intelligence that is always communicating, always guiding, and always loving. In this way, religion becomes an exploration rather than a destination, an unfolding journey of awakening rather than a fixed set of answers. The presence of a higher intelligence becomes evident not only in moments of prayer or worship, but in the very fabric of our lives. In the stillness of nature, in the innocence of a child, in the resilience of the human spirit, in the boundless creativity of the universe. These are all reflections of that intelligence. True religion helps us to recognize these signs, to attune ourselves to them, and to respond with wonder and responsibility. It cultivates in us a sense of sacredness that transforms ordinary life into something extraordinary. Even suffering and loss take on a new dimension when seen through the lens of spiritual purpose. They are no longer meaningless hardships but opportunities for growth, compassion, and deeper connection with the divine. Furthermore, true religion fosters a sense of unity among all people. It teaches that while paths may differ, the destination is the same. Whether through prayer, silence, song, or service, the sincere seeker in every tradition is reaching for the same transcendent truth. This recognition dissolves the illusion of separation and encourages mutual respect and dialogue. It reminds us that the higher intelligence we seek is not bound by language, culture, or tradition. It is infinite, and thus accessible to all who seek it with a pure heart. In times of chaos, uncertainty, and despair, it is often this connection to a higher intelligence that sustains us. It is what gives people the courage to forgive, the strength to endure, and the hope to continue. True religion reconnects us to the source of wisdom and love that can never be extinguished, no matter how dark the world may seem, and in doing so it awakens in us the realization that we are never truly alone. We are guided, held, and called toward a deeper way of being, one that honors the divine not only in heaven, but in every breath we take. True religion connects us to a higher intelligence, not through fear or blind obedience, but through a profound sense of recognition and remembrance. At its essence, religion is meant to awaken something that already exists within us, a natural inclination toward the divine, the eternal, and the infinite. It is not simply a cultural inheritance or a system of rituals, though these may play a part. It is a living relationship between the individual's soul and the intelligence that governs all existence. This higher intelligence, often named God, the Creator, the Divine, or the Source, is not distant or unreachable. It is intimately present in every breath, in every thought of truth, and in every act of compassion. True religion does not impose this connection, it reveals it. It provides a framework through which we begin to perceive the signs of this intelligence all around us and within us, allowing us to live with greater depth, awareness, and alignment. In every authentic religious tradition, we find teachings that direct human beings not only toward moral behavior, but toward a higher state of consciousness. This elevated state does not come through intellectual study alone, but through spiritual discipline, humility, and sincere devotion. Prayer, meditation, contemplation, and acts of selflessness are not meant to earn favor with an external deity, but to quiet the ego and awaken our inner senses. As we become more still, more present, and more honest in our inner lives, we begin to experience subtle insights, a guiding intuition, and a sense of harmony with the universe that cannot be explained through reason alone. These are the whispers of higher intelligence, a guidance that responds not to superficial desires, but to the soul's deeper longing for truth, connection, and purpose. True religion teaches that this intelligence is not separate from us, but flows through us. It teaches that we are not random accidents in a meaningless universe, but purposeful creations woven into a larger design. Our lives, with all their beauty and suffering, are not without meaning. They are chapters in a sacred narrative. The events we face, the relationships we form, and the challenges we endure all serve as instruments through which the higher intelligence shapes our growth and deepens our understanding. We begin to trust that nothing is wasted, that behind the veil of appearances there is a wisdom at work. This trust is not naive optimism. It is the fruit of a relationship that grows stronger as we continue to seek, to listen, and to respond with integrity. The connection to a higher intelligence through true religion also brings clarity and balance to our inner world. In a time when many are overwhelmed by anxiety, confusion, and despair, religion offers a spiritual anchor. It grounds us in timeless truths that do not shift with every cultural trend or political crisis. It reminds us of our inherent worth, not because of our achievements or status, but because we are children of the divine. This recognition heals the fractured sense of self that so many struggle with in a fragmented world. It replaces insecurity with dignity, and alienation with belonging. We come to see that we are part of something far greater than ourselves, and this realization inspires both humility and courage. We no longer feel the need to dominate, to impress, or to escape. Instead, we live in alignment with something higher, guided by a sense of sacred purpose. Moreover, true religion teaches us to see others not as separate or inferior, but as fellow reflections of the divine intelligence. This vision dissolves barriers of race, class, and creed. It fosters compassion rather than judgment, understanding rather than division. When we truly connect with a higher intelligence, we begin to feel responsible not only for our own well-being, but for the well-being of others. We recognize that to harm another is to violate the harmony that this intelligence seeks to maintain. True religion, therefore, is not passive or insular, it is active and expansive. It calls us to justice, mercy, and stewardship of the earth and all life upon it. It awakens the desire to uplift, to serve, and to heal. The presence of a higher intelligence becomes increasingly evident the more we practice the core values of true religion: sincerity, humility, love, and devotion. These values do not restrict life, they expand it. They open doors to inner freedom, peace, and joy that are not dependent on external circumstances. In the quiet moments of reflection, in the stillness of prayer, in the courage to forgive, and in the beauty of truth, we encounter a wisdom that knows us better than we know ourselves. It is this wisdom, gentle yet powerful, invisible yet undeniable, that true religion connects us to. Through this connection, life takes on a sacred quality, and every moment becomes an opportunity to listen, to grow, and to live in harmony with the highest intelligence that governs all things. True religion connects us to a higher intelligence, not merely as a ritualistic practice, but as a profound and living relationship that transcends the boundaries of conventional understanding. It is not about blindly following a set of rules or dogmas, but about awakening to a deeper truth that exists beyond the limitations of our everyday experiences. This higher intelligence, whether understood as God, the divine, or the universal consciousness, is the source of all creation and the guiding force behind the intricate order of the cosmos. True religion reveals this intelligence not as a distant or abstract concept, but as an intimate presence that is woven into the very fabric of our being. Through sincere devotion, contemplation, and inner reflection, we come to realize that we are not separate from this intelligence, but a part of it, interconnected with the divine essence that sustains all life. The connection to a higher intelligence through true religion is something that arises from the depths of our own hearts and minds. It is not a force imposed from the outside, but an awakening to a truth that already resides within us. This truth, often obscured by the distractions of modern life, becomes clear when we make space for stillness and presence. It is in these moments of quiet reflection, when the noise of the world fades away, that we begin to feel the subtle whispers of the divine guiding us toward greater understanding. True religion is not just about external practices, but about cultivating an inner relationship with this higher intelligence, learning to listen and respond to its guidance in all aspects of life. As we deepen our connection to this higher intelligence, we begin to see the world through a different lens. The mundane and ordinary aspects of life take on a deeper meaning, and we begin to recognize the interconnectedness of all things. Every encounter, every moment, becomes an opportunity to align ourselves with the divine intelligence that permeates the universe. The beauty of a sunrise, the sound of birdsong, the touch of a loved one's hand, these are all reflections of the higher intelligence that flows through all creation. True religion teaches us to cultivate an awareness of this divine presence in every moment, to recognize that we are not isolated beings, but part of a vast, interconnected whole. This awareness brings a sense of peace and contentment as we come to understand that we are never truly alone. We are held, guided, and supported by the higher intelligence that connects all of existence. True religion also helps us navigate the complexities and challenges of life. It provides us with the tools to cultivate resilience, to find meaning in suffering, and to rise above the limitations of the ego. In times of difficulty, it is this connection to the higher intelligence that gives us the strength to endure and the wisdom to understand that even the most painful experiences have a purpose. True religion teaches us that life is not about escaping hardship, but about embracing it with grace and courage, knowing that every experience is an opportunity for growth and transformation. It reminds us that there is a higher wisdom at work in the world, even when we cannot see it, and that every obstacle is a step along the path toward greater self-awareness and spiritual awakening. Moreover, true religion leads us to a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. It challenges us to confront our ego, to let go of selfish desires, and to live in harmony with the higher intelligence that seeks to guide us toward a life of purpose and service. As we align ourselves with this intelligence, we begin to understand our true nature, not as separate individuals but as expressions of the divine, interconnected with all of creation. This understanding fosters a deep sense of humility and compassion as we recognize that our actions and choices have an impact on others and on the world around us. True religion calls us to live with integrity, to act with love, and to serve others with kindness and compassion. It teaches us that the ultimate purpose of life is not personal gain or success, but the cultivation of virtues that reflect the higher intelligence within us. Through true religion, we also learn to let go of the illusion of control. As we surrender to the higher intelligence that guides us, we begin to realize that we do not need to control every aspect of our lives. Instead, we learn to trust the divine plan and to flow with the current of life, knowing that we are being led toward our highest good. This surrender does not mean passivity or resignation. Rather, it is an active participation in the unfolding of our lives, guided by the wisdom of the higher intelligence. It is through this trust that we find peace and freedom, knowing that we are always supported by a force greater than ourselves. In the end, true religion connects us to a higher intelligence by awakening us to the divine presence within and around us. It teaches us to live with greater awareness, compassion, and love, and to align our actions with the wisdom of the divine. As we deepen our relationship with this higher intelligence, we come to realize that we are not separate from the divine but are, in fact, expressions of it. This realization brings a sense of peace, purpose, and fulfillment that transcends the fleeting pleasures and distractions of the material world. Through true religion, we are guided toward a life of greater meaning, connection, and spiritual awakening, always in tune with the higher intelligence that sustains all life. True religion connects us to a higher intelligence by offering a pathway to transcend the limitations of the ego and the superficial distractions of daily life. This connection, however, is not about blindly adhering to rituals or dogmatic beliefs, but about cultivating an awareness that invites us to recognize the deeper truths underlying our existence. At its heart, religion is a means of connecting with the divine, with that higher intelligence that is present within all things, both seen and unseen. Through practices of prayer, meditation, service, and contemplation, true religion offers an invitation to open our hearts and minds to the wisdom and guidance of this divine intelligence. This higher intelligence is not a distant, detached force but an intimate presence that resides within and around us. It is a force that sustains life, brings order to the universe, and, when we attune ourselves to it, becomes a guiding light in our personal lives. True religion teaches that this intelligence is not outside of us, but is deeply embedded in our very being, and by cultivating a relationship with it, we come to understand our place within the larger tapestry of existence. It is through this relationship that we begin to experience moments of clarity, inspiration, and insight that are beyond our ordinary, rational minds. These moments, though fleeting, reveal the presence of a wisdom that surpasses human understanding, a wisdom that connects us to something far greater than ourselves. Religion serves as the vehicle through which we begin to tap into this higher intelligence. It is not simply about following rules or traditions. It is about aligning ourselves with something sacred that is constantly present and waiting to be discovered. The rituals and practices in religion are meant to open the heart and mind to the presence of the divine, allowing us to move beyond the distractions of the material world and into a space of spiritual awareness. In moments of prayer or meditation, we are invited to quiet our minds and listen for the whispers of guidance that arise from this higher intelligence. It is through these practices that we learn to attune ourselves to the subtle movements of the divine, which are often hidden beneath the surface of our everyday thoughts and feelings. As we grow in our connection to this higher intelligence, we begin to see the world differently. We recognize that the mundane aspects of life are infused with meaning and purpose, that even in the most ordinary moments, there is a deeper significance waiting to be revealed. Our relationships, our work, and our personal struggles all become opportunities for growth and transformation as we align ourselves more closely with the divine intelligence that permeates everything. We begin to see that life is not random or chaotic, but is part of a larger, divine plan that is unfolding in ways that we may not always understand, but can trust. This trust in the higher intelligence allows us to approach life with greater peace and surrender, knowing that we are always guided and supported, even in times of uncertainty and hardship. The connection to this higher intelligence also changes the way we relate to others. As we recognize that the same divine presence flows through all people, we come to see them as reflections of that intelligence. Our sense of separation diminishes, and we begin to view others with greater compassion, understanding, and respect. True religion teaches us that we are all interconnected, and by aligning ourselves with the higher intelligence, we are called to live with greater integrity, kindness, and love toward others. This understanding fosters unity and peace as we come to see that our actions, words, and thoughts affect not only our own lives, but also the lives of those around us. The more we cultivate a relationship with this higher intelligence, the more we begin to embody the virtues of love, compassion, and wisdom in our interactions with others, creating a ripple effect of positive change in the world. Moreover, true religion helps us to navigate the complexities and challenges of life. It teaches us that hardship and suffering are not meaningless or to be avoided, but are part of the human experience that can bring us closer to understanding the deeper truths of existence. When we are connected to a higher intelligence, we begin to see that challenges are not obstacles, but opportunities for growth and learning. We come to understand that the divine intelligence is always at work, even in the most difficult circumstances, guiding us toward greater understanding and spiritual maturity. Through this connection, we develop resilience, the ability to endure hardship with grace and faith, knowing that there is always a purpose behind our struggles, even if we cannot fully comprehend it in the moment. True religion also helps us to transcend the ego, the small, limited sense of self that often keeps us trapped in cycles of fear, greed, and selfishness. As we align ourselves with the higher intelligence, we begin to move beyond the constraints of the ego and tap into the expansive consciousness of the divine. This shift in perspective allows us to live with greater clarity and authenticity, as we no longer feel the need to prove ourselves, seek external validation, or grasp at fleeting pleasures. Instead, we learn to live in alignment with our higher purpose, guided by the wisdom and love of the divine intelligence that resides within us. In conclusion, true religion connects us to a higher intelligence by offering a framework through which we can deepen our spiritual awareness and understanding. It is through this connection that we begin to experience the peace, wisdom, and guidance of the divine, transforming our lives and our relationships with others. By cultivating this relationship, we align ourselves with a force that transcends the ego and opens us to a greater sense of purpose, meaning, and unity with all of creation. True religion, in its most authentic form, is not a set of external rules but a living, breathing connection to the divine intelligence that resides within us all. True religion connects us to a higher intelligence in ways that transcend human comprehension, offering a deep, transformative relationship with something greater than ourselves. It is not confined to rituals, laws, or doctrines, though these may play a role. Instead, it invites us to experience a connection to a divine intelligence that lies at the heart of existence, guiding us toward deeper understanding, purpose, and unity. Religion, in its truest form, is a conduit for awakening this connection. It fosters a sense of spiritual intimacy, a quiet knowing that we are part of a vast, interconnected whole. It teaches us to recognize the divine presence in every aspect of life, encouraging us to align our hearts and minds with this higher intelligence. At the core of true religion is the recognition that this higher intelligence is not distant or separate from us. It is not an external entity to be worshipped from afar, but a living force within us and around us. This intelligence is the source of all wisdom, creativity, and love. It flows through every moment, every interaction, and every decision we make. Through religion, we are reminded of our innate connection to this intelligence. It is a constant companion, always present, always guiding us toward greater understanding. This relationship is not static but dynamic, evolving as we grow spiritually and emotionally. The more we cultivate a conscious connection to this divine intelligence, the more we become attuned to its subtle presence in our lives. It speaks to us in quiet whispers, in moments of clarity, in flashes of insight that often defy logical explanation, but resonate deeply with our inner being. True religion, then, is about learning to listen to this intelligence. It is about quieting the noise of the world and the distractions of the ego to make space for the still, small voice that guides us toward truth and authenticity. In the hustle and bustle of everyday life, it is easy to become disconnected from this deeper wisdom. But through religious practices such as prayer, meditation, contemplation, and service, we open ourselves to the transformative power of the divine. These practices serve as tools to cultivate greater awareness, helping us to see beyond the superficial and recognize the deeper patterns and purposes that govern our lives. As we deepen our relationship with this higher intelligence, we begin to experience profound shifts in our perception. We start to see life not as a random series of events, but as part of a grand, divine plan. Every experience, whether joyful or painful, takes on new meaning as we realize it is all part of a larger tapestry that is being woven by this intelligence. Even in times of suffering or hardship, we come to understand that there is purpose in our pain, that it serves as a catalyst for spiritual growth and transformation. True religion teaches us to embrace both the light and the darkness, knowing that both are necessary for our evolution. In this way, the connection to a higher intelligence provides a lens through which we view the world with greater wisdom, compassion, and clarity. One of the most powerful aspects of true religion is its ability to foster a sense of unity. In connecting to a higher intelligence, we come to realize that we are not isolated beings, but part of a greater whole. We are all interconnected, all expressions of the same divine intelligence. This realization dissolves the illusion of separation that often drives conflict, division, and misunderstanding. It calls us to see beyond the surface differences of race, culture, or creed, and to recognize the divinity in every person we meet. When we live in alignment with this higher intelligence, we begin to view others with compassion and empathy, understanding that they too are on a journey toward awakening to this truth. This shift in perspective fosters greater peace and harmony in our relationships, as we begin to treat others with the same love, respect, and understanding that we seek for ourselves. Moreover, true religion teaches us to live in a way that reflects the qualities of the higher intelligence to which we are connected. It calls us to embody virtues such as love, humility, patience, kindness, and wisdom. These are not abstract ideals but practical qualities that transform our daily lives. When we align ourselves with these virtues, we become living expressions of the divine intelligence, bringing light and healing into the world around us. True religion empowers us to live with integrity, to make choices that reflect our highest values, and to contribute to the well-being of others and the planet. It challenges us to go beyond self-centeredness and to live with a sense of purpose and responsibility, knowing that our actions ripple out and affect the greater good. True religion also nurtures our inner peace by teaching us to surrender our attachments to outcomes and to trust in the guidance of the higher intelligence. In a world that often encourages us to control every aspect of our lives, religion offers a counterpoint: the wisdom of letting go. It teaches us that while we may not always understand the reasons behind the events that unfold in our lives, there is always a higher purpose at work. This trust in the divine plan allows us to navigate life with greater ease and grace, free from the anxiety and stress that often accompany the need to control. As we surrender to this divine intelligence, we find ourselves more present in each moment, more open to the lessons and blessings that come our way. In connecting with this higher intelligence, we also begin to experience a sense of belonging to something greater than ourselves. True religion reminds us that we are part of a vast, interconnected universe, that our lives have purpose and meaning beyond what we can see or understand in the moment. It is this awareness that fills us with a sense of peace and fulfillment, as we recognize that we are not alone on our journey. The divine intelligence is always there, guiding us, supporting us, and calling us toward a life of deeper connection, love, and wisdom. True religion, in this way, becomes a path to self-discovery, inner peace, and spiritual awakening, leading us ever closer to the higher intelligence that unites all of creation. True religion connects us to a higher intelligence that transcends the limitations of the human mind and opens us to a realm of profound wisdom and understanding. At its core, religion is not just about beliefs or practices, it is about creating a deep, meaningful connection to the divine intelligence that sustains all life. This higher intelligence is not some distant, abstract concept, but a living presence that is both within and around us. It is a force that is constantly guiding, nurturing, and supporting us, helping us to navigate the complexities of life with greater clarity and purpose. True religion, when practiced authentically, serves as a conduit for this divine connection, allowing us to tap into a deeper source of wisdom and insight that leads us toward greater self-awareness, peace, and spiritual fulfillment. In a world often marked by confusion, division, and uncertainty, religion provides a pathway to reconnect with this higher intelligence. It offers a framework that invites us to move beyond the distractions and noise of daily life and attune ourselves to the subtle, guiding presence of the divine. Through practices like prayer, meditation, and reflection, we open ourselves to the wisdom that flows from this higher intelligence. These practices help us quiet the mind, calm the emotions, and clear the clutter of our inner world, allowing us to hear the still, small voice of the divine that speaks to us in moments of stillness and contemplation. It is in these moments that we begin to experience a deeper sense of knowing, an intuitive understanding that goes beyond intellectual knowledge and connects us to the truth that resides within. True religion teaches us that this higher intelligence is not separate from us, but intimately connected to every aspect of our being. It resides within us, in our hearts and minds, guiding us toward a deeper understanding of our true nature. It is the spark of divinity within us that allows us to perceive and respond to the world with wisdom, compassion, and love. As we grow in our relationship with this intelligence, we begin to see ourselves not as isolated individuals, but as part of a greater whole, interconnected with all of creation. This awareness transforms our perspective, helping us to see the interconnectedness of all things and recognize the divine presence in every person, every situation, and every moment. As we become more attuned to this higher intelligence, we also begin to experience greater peace and clarity in our lives. The challenges and difficulties that once seemed insurmountable take on a new meaning. As we learn to view them through the lens of divine wisdom, we come to understand that life is not random or chaotic, but that every experience has a purpose, even if we cannot always see it in the moment. True religion helps us cultivate a deeper sense of trust in the divine plan, knowing that we are never alone and that there is always guidance available to us. When we face obstacles or hardships, we turn to this higher intelligence for strength and clarity, knowing that it will lead us through even the most difficult circumstances. Religion also helps us to cultivate virtues that reflect the qualities of this higher intelligence. As we connect more deeply with the divine, we are inspired to live with greater integrity, kindness, and love. These virtues are not just abstract ideals, but practical qualities that shape our everyday lives and interactions with others. Through our relationship with the higher intelligence, we begin to embody qualities such as patience, humility, forgiveness, and compassion. These virtues not only help us live more harmoniously with others, but also foster a sense of inner peace, as we align our actions with the deeper truth that resides within us. True religion calls us to live authentically, to be true to our divine nature, and to reflect that divine light in our words and deeds. Moreover, true religion guides us towards self-realization, helping us to understand our true purpose in life. It teaches us that we are not simply here to accumulate material wealth or seek fleeting pleasures, but to live in alignment with our higher calling. As we connect to the divine intelligence, we begin to uncover our unique gifts and talents and discover how we can use them to serve others and contribute to the greater good. True religion inspires us to live with purpose, to seek fulfillment not in external achievements, but in the cultivation of virtues, the deepening of relationships, and the pursuit of spiritual growth. Through this connection to a higher intelligence, we also develop a greater sense of unity with all of humanity. Religion teaches us that we are all part of a larger, interconnected web of life. As we recognize the divine presence in ourselves and in others, we come to see that the separation and division that so often characterize human relationships are illusions. True religion calls us to transcend the ego, to move beyond self-centeredness, and embrace the interconnectedness of all people. It inspires us to live with compassion, to recognize the inherent dignity and worth of every individual, and to treat others with the love and respect that reflect the divine intelligence within them. This sense of unity extends beyond human relationships to our connection with the natural world. True religion teaches us that the divine intelligence that guides us is also present in the natural world, in the trees, the oceans, the mountains, and the animals. As we deepen our connection to this higher intelligence, we begin to see the beauty and sacredness of all creation. We come to understand that we are not separate from nature, but an integral part of it, and that our actions have an impact on the environment and all living beings. True religion calls us to be stewards of the earth, to protect and preserve the natural world as an expression of the divine intelligence that sustains it. In conclusion, true religion connects us to a higher intelligence by helping us cultivate a deeper awareness of the divine presence that permeates all aspects of life. It teaches us to live with greater clarity, compassion, and integrity, and to align our actions with the divine wisdom that resides within and around us. Through religion, we come to understand our true purpose in life, recognize our interconnectedness with others and the natural world, and live in a way that reflects the higher intelligence that sustains all of creation. This connection to the divine is not a distant or abstract idea, but a living reality that can transform our lives and bring us into alignment with the deeper truths of existence.